Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your August connection session. I am Princess India if you are new, and if you are family, welcome back, my friend, and what's not or whatever. So, we're going to be looking at the energy between you as well as a person of interest. And then we're going to be getting into a more specific spread where we're going to be looking at how your person of interest thinks as well as feels about you and what's not or whatever. So let's go ahead and jump right in since we had a card pop out. Let's see. All right. So first card out representing Cancer in the month of August, we have the Seven of Swords in the reverse. I always say, what you skip will trip you up later when the Seven of Swords comes out. However, what this Seven of Swords in this particular deck for me, it is my erectile dysfunction card. So what I will gather from this Cancer is in the month of August, there's a lot of self-doubt that's very prevalent, but it's interesting. The way that I see this kind of playing out is I feel up until this particular point in time, Cancer was in a false sense of security. Do I want to say it that way? It kind of, I don't know how to say it. How can I say this? It's sort of kind of like a false sense of security, but it feels to me like false confidence. You know what I mean? So let me explain an example of what it would look like. And it's something I forewarn everyone I probably talk to. Clients, whatever, about this of like temporaryism, like when something good goes in our life, right? So I see this happen a lot in therapy, but it's kind of like this. So stuff in your life sucks, everything's going wrong, right? And typically when people are going through life transitions, it's like you reach out for some sense of external validation, right? That's often how people find themselves watching tarot readings on YouTube. It's how people find themselves in therapy. It's how people find themselves in church, right? Things are chaotic and you need something that is going to give you some sense of stability when things are unstable, right? Now, when stuff goes good, so you're in this instability, now you have stability because of this external validation thing. And now something super good happens in your life. And suddenly we totally forget that at one point in time, we were on this unstable foundation, clinging to, a life vest, right? Now we have a false sense of security. So say like, I don't know, you met someone, since this is the love reading, let's go with that. You met someone, right? And you're on cloud nine because you meet this new person, right? So you ride that wave for like a good 3 months. And then, not saying that this is happening with your person, because I know I didn't turn the cards over yet. But just for the point that I'm trying to make, hypothetically, the person that you were dating like suddenly ghosts you or something like that, right? And where do you think you're going to go back to? You're going to go right back to where it is that you started with this sense of instability, right? Not back to the, thing that the life vest or whatever. It's like you're going back to that instability. Why does that happen that way? It's because life, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, is trying to get you to deal with the thing, right? But patterns in life, I find just, from my own experience, other people's experiences, that is a pattern that everyone follows. And for some strange reason, it's kind of like Halloween and Christmas. They're on the same day every single year, but you never see anyone buying Halloween costumes or Christmas decorations or Christmas gifts super early. You always see people running and going cuckoo bananas in the store the day before Halloween or like the week before Christmas or something like that. But I say all of that to say, Cancer, that where it is that you guys are at present is kind of going back to the drawing board in a sense. So whatever feeling of insecurity or not enough or, confidence issues, worthlessness, whatever it is that you guys were grappling with, I feel in reference to your person of interest, something has triggered you and brought you right back to where you were before, if that's making sense. Now, your person of interest, interesting, is showing up as the Hanged Man. That is Aquarius energy or Pisces or Cancer, whatever. I said them all one time. Anywho, but with your person of interest, for them, it's more or less them taking personal accountability for where it is that they are. So, however it is, like if this is speaking specifically to what is transpired between the two of you, like where it is that you guys stand at present, together or separate, your person is taking full accountability for where it is that they are. It's not necessarily saying that they, like it or love it. It's just, where I am right now today is the byproduct of choices and decisions that I made, and I accept that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I kind of have a vibe I just picked up on. I don't, that's interesting. I'm just gonna say it. This may not resonate with everyone. I don't know, Cancer, if maybe you bluffed with this person. Like if you guys bluffed breaking up with them or bluffed leaving, and the person was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were like, you know, saying something that you didn't mean, and your intention was for this person to respond or react a certain way, but it didn't pan out that way. Not saying that that's everyone, but that's kind of like a vibe I just got. You know what I'm saying? Where you kind of overplayed your hand and it did not pan out that way, because kind of the energy your person of interest is in is kind of like unbothered, in a sense of just like, well, I did that and they responded that way, so I can't really be upset about it. It is what it is, kind of vibe is what I'm getting this. Now the energy between the two of you, oh child. The energy between the two of you is justice in the reverse. That is Libra energy. I'm trying to remember. I actually earlier today, I actually started writing a piece about the justice card. I'm trying to remember what it is that I said to see if that's relevant, because for that to come back in my mind, it might be relevant. Y'all hold on. Let me look at my phone real quick. I apologize. That's going to bother me if I don't. Let me see. Justice. I was talking about black and white ethics and how that relates to like splitting and black and white thinking. Interesting. Huh. Well, anywho, I can see how that can relate to this, but more or less the energy between the two of you guys, if I were to say it simply, it's things being kind of out of alignment. Now, what I can say with this is I do feel like with that piece I was writing earlier, where I can see that this relates to the two of you. It's like two sides of one coin. Like I would say Cancer is on the side of what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I feel your person is like that too. However, the way that it's manifesting with them is why that kind of unbothered energy is coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm taking personal accountability in the sense that and I'm saying this hypothetically, like I cheated on you, right? And Cancer's like, that's wrong. That's so wrong for you to do that. So selfish, this and that, right? And your person's like, you're right. That is super wrong. And you want to break up with me. And I totally get that. Like you're 100%, right with that. You feel what I'm saying? And that, okay, so that makes sense. So with this black and white ethics thing, it's almost like that's what your stance is, like that's wrong, but it's almost wanting this person to admit the wrong but validate you with nuance. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I did, but I love you, I'm sorry, I deserve all of the things, you can treat me like crap, they meant nothing to me. You feel what I'm saying? And with a person giving those explanations, that goes into like a gray area, which is why I say like nuance. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost what I can say with this Cancer. The problem in this connection between the two of you is it's not it's not a consistent stance that's being taken. And even if we were to put this in the context of like, and I said this with another sign, I can't remember who right now, but I was saying like, it's the equivalent of drawing a line in the sand with this person. And when they cross it, it's like, ooh, I can't believe you crossed my boundary. You're not supposed to do that. But then you draw another line in the sand and they cross that. And it's like, you violated my boundaries. But then you draw another line in the sand. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not standing firm on what those boundaries are, or not standing firm on, or talking out of both sides of your neck, as people would say. And I can see this happen. And I'm not really supposed to be talking about you, Cancer, because this reading's more about the other person, but it's coming up, so I'm gonna talk about it. But I see this happen a lot, like why I have the spread designed to where I look at the subconscious, because it's a lot of times a person's behaviors can be very contradictory, and there's a need to look a little deeper to understand like the motivating factors with this. But what I'm seeing with you guys with this Cancer is it's taking a stance, and I'm just using the term boundaries, but it's like taking a hard stance on something. Black and white ethics, like that's an easy way to live your life. It's a very unrealistic, like delusional way to live your life. But a lot of people live life that way because it's easier, you know what I'm saying, to look at everything like right is right and wrong is wrong, and not realize that we're contradicting ourselves. When, like the question I often ask people who have black and white, it's like, oh, damn it, my computer did the thing. Like, black and white ethics say that, stealing is wrong. Oh my gosh, am I still on camera? Hold on, wait, it did the thing, and I think I'm still on camera. But it's like saying theft is wrong, right? Like stealing is wrong. But then when you pose the same question of if, a mom who was homeless with a newborn baby, if she went into Walmart and like took, wow, it didn't black out. That's crazy. I'm here for it. I am here for it. But if a mom who had a newborn baby that was homeless and had no money, if she were to go into Walmart and like steal, like a container of like Similac or whatever, like, would you say that that's wrong in that case? And it's like, and she should like, go to jail and lose her child. It's like, oh, well, no, because that's different. And it's like, it's really not. You feel what I'm saying? Because if theft is wrong, then she should lose her baby to DCFS and go to jail like everyone else. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those things where it's nuanced. It's like, yes, theft is wrong and that is bad. And like Walmart's losing money, it's terrible, right? But at the same time, it's like when you start putting empathy into that and thinking about the context of a situation, it's like, oh, well, shit. I mean, we don't want her to lose her kid and go to jail. You feel what I'm saying? But I say all that to say that I feel like you guys are two sides of one coin, and you both fraternize in this realm of black and white ethics. However, it's keeping those things there, or keeping those boundaries in place to give yourself this false sense of security. But it's when nuance time happens, it's like the rug getting pulled from under you. And I feel why, like, because like I said, this sounds like a soul session with me focusing so much on you, Cancer. But why this would be coming up is because you kind of falling back to where it is that you were prior to this whole situation. That's letting me know that this is a valuable lesson that's imperative for you to learn in spite of what's going on with this person. Like there's some insight that needs to be had in reference to this, because what it looks like to me is almost like a self-sabotatory pattern that Cancer is in. But because you're not looking at it, you're focusing your attention on the wrong thing. So Seven of Swords in the reverse, it's like, I'm not good enough and this always happens to me. That's the wrong realm of reality to be looking in. What you really should be looking at pattern that's happening. God dog it, it did it again. And how it is that you're ending up in the situation. See, I thought I ended up getting away with it. I was like, oh my gosh, my camera's still on and stuff. And now it's doing the regular thing. Okay, Cancer, give me a second. Please donate to my GoFundMe. I'm trying to get a new computer so this can stop happening. Help your girl out. Okay, 1 second, Cancer. Sorry about that, Cancer. Like I said, donate to my GoFundMe. I'm trying to get a new laptop. Help your girl out. The link is in the description box or in the comments. But anyway, moving right along. But anywho, like I was saying, Cancer, like I feel there's a sense of clarity that would behoove Cancer to come to. And that's me saying that aside from this reading, just because I feel that so heavily. Because if you've been watching the rest of the connection sessions, y'all know I don't focus too much on the sign for the reading that you're watching. I'm focusing more on your person. But I feel the reason why this message is coming out, because it's something that you need to know. You know, maybe you can't wait till the soul session comes out for Cancer. But the whole thing is with this is what needs to be addressed is the underlying issue with Cancer. It's not so much about this particular person of interest. It's the fact that this is going to continuously come up, because I feel like it's almost like a sometimey kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying? And I know Cancers are moody, you know, by nature, but I feel it's because Cancer isn't 10 toes down on, like I said, with boundaries. Like I'm using that as an example, the fact that the goalpost keeps moving, and it's kind of like the goalpost moving and then you punishing someone for it. It's like, if you're not clear and direct of what the boundary is, and you keep letting me cross boundaries, but after you let me cross 5, when I cross the 6, now it's like you don't ever, you know, like respect any of my boundaries and da 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 da. It's just like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you expect? You feel what I'm saying? So, like, I feel the unbalance in the connection between the two of you is because there isn't like a consistent boundary crossing, proverbially speaking, and like consequence, or you're kind of constantly shifting, like I was saying, black and white ethics, but then still want the nuance. You feel what I'm saying? To where, you know, that kind of leaves your person in the place where it's like they take their L, like, I did it, you're right, like I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? But they're not offering anything, you're not giving a why or, you know, motivating factors or whatever. They're just like, all right, I was wrong, like you're right, and leaving it at that, but you wanting more than that. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel there's a confusion, and it really feels to me like I talked about this in Leo, I think, like with passive aggression, it's like when we're fearful of being direct, and you know, Cancers walk sideways, right? Y'all aren't always direct. It's like when we're fearful of directly asking for what it is that we need and want, we, you know, deviate to like unscrupulous means to get those done. And passive aggression is a form of that, as opposed to saying, you know, I was upset when you did this. It's like, nothing's wrong, everything's fine, like, oh no, you're good, you know. And saying like they should have known, they should have picked up on my vibe, how did they not know that? Like, that's completely unrealistic. You feel what I'm saying? And it's an unfair standard to expect a person to live up to. I say the same thing with raising children. It's like you can't just expect your kids to know what to do and what not to do if you never made it clear what to do and what not to do and what the consequences are for that. You feel what I'm saying? I hope and pray that makes sense. But anyway, so getting into the more specific spread, the first card we have, interesting, we have the Queen of Pentacles. Then we have, interesting, who did I do before you guys? Gemini, they had that. We have the Empress, and that is Libra and Taurus energy, Venetian energy. Then we have, so we got Libra twice here. Then we have the Eight of Swords. Okay, this is interesting. And in their conscious thoughts, we have, oh, the Page. Oh, wait, she's sneaky. We have the Page of Swords. I don't know why I be showing y'all these when I gotta censor them. I need to like draw on these to like cover up all the boobs and stuff. We have the Page of Swords in the reverse and their conscious thoughts. So what it's looking like, Cancer, in your person of interest, fleeting thoughts coming out with the Queen of Pentacles, it's, I mean, it's good. It's like, in how it is that they're thinking about you, there is a level of stability and security that they see with you. However, there's like Ice Queen vibes with this, which to me is very much passive aggression. Like I was just saying, it's like more or less, it's like, what do you want? Like, what's wrong? What's going on? And it's very much that vibe of like, oh no, nothing, everything's fine. Da 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 da. Da. You're still gonna do all of the stuff that you typically do, but potentially maybe doing it like with an altitude. You know what I'm saying? But this being in their fleeting thoughts, this is stuff that they're weighing. So it's them kind of just thinking back on things and how your presentation is. It's like there's a whole, universe that's happening behind this person's eyes, but what they're putting off is like they're unbothered, which would be even more interesting to me if if this person to you seems unbothered and what you're putting off to them is if you're unbothered. So I don't know if like you posted on social media like you're good, they're asking you, you're saying you're fine, whatever the case, but them just having this sneaking suspicion that there's like Cancer saying they're okay, but I really feel like they're not. And in reality, you're not. Because, like I said, with the Seven of Swords in the reverse, if you're putting out like a false bravado, but behind that, it's like you're falling apart in a sense. That's very much on their mind of wondering, are they really okay? Or are they just saying that? Or are they just projecting that? Right. But on the positive side of this, like I said, they see you as, security. They see you as like stability, you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason. And that's exacerbated with this Empress here and brings it more into like that abundance, motherly, wifely kind of realm. So I would say with your person of interest, they do see you in a very positive light. They feel that on some level or another, there's a sort of expected consistency kind of thing that's going on here. But I say that only in the sense of like behavior. You know what I mean? Like, or like your schedule, like you're home every day at the same time, you're gonna call them, like, certain external type of things are pretty consistent. And then when it comes to, you as a partner, it's like your wife material, your, good mom, potential good mom, stuff like that. But what I gather from this, though, looking at this Eight of Swords, my inference to this would be probably on the emotional side. That's the inconsistency. You know what I'm saying? Because with this Eight of Swords, it's saying in a sense how this person feels trapped or they're fighting a losing battle. It's a lose-lose kind of situation, and them feeling kind of stuck with that. And those are like the two contrast things that they're weighing. So there's all these positive things about you, like overall, but it's still feeling kind of trapped by that. And I say my personal inference with this, from what I've gathered with the Seven of Swords in the reverse, is that there's potentially like an emotional instability here with this, or an unstable self concept to where like how it is that you see yourself or whether you're in a good mood or not is contingent upon what's happening in this connection. So if you were having a good day, if stuff's going wrong in your relationship, you're suddenly having a bad day. If you're super duper happy when you're with this person, and when there's the potential, like I said in the very beginning, like my first sentence, when there's a potential for you guys to not be together, or they're not communicating with you, or it's rockiness in the relationship, then suddenly like you're falling into a depression. It's like when stuff like that happens, that means that your self-concept, your worth, like all of that is contingent upon your partnership, which means external validation, and when we're dealing with other human beings, that's constantly in flux anyway. So if we base our internal state on the external, especially with a romantic partner, then we're always going to be like, our emotional state is always going to be at the will of the state of our relationship. And I can't say it shouldn't be that way, but I feel like that's an ineffective way to live, because you'll never have stability, because relationships and friendships, anything dealing with other humans is always going to have problems. You feel what I'm saying? And a human being isn't like a static thing. It's not like a statue. Like we all go through fluxes and emotions, and we can't expect, our person in our life, like a romantic partner, to stay like static in so many words, right? So your person is just weighing a level of feeling kind of stuck, imprisoned, and trapped in reference to that. Now, when we come into their conscious thoughts towards you, there isn't a communication here. So I don't know if you guys are on a break or if y'all actually broke up or whatever the case, with the justice and the reverse being the energy between the two of you. There is the possibility of you guys being like separated, like, like a legal separation, or potentially considering divorce even. But with your person's conscious thoughts, they feel like they can't talk to you. It's and I feel it's almost like a fear. Like if we go back to what I was saying with the hanged man, and how I was saying is them being like, okay, it's like, you were wrong, you did this, and they're like, okay, you're right. It's almost that coming to a place, or them coming to that place, because if I did try to give another explanation, so going back to that nuance, this is wrong, right? You want them to give the nuance, and it's like, oh, here's my explanation. And then your rebuttal being like, that's no excuse. That still was just absolutely wrong. And I don't want to hear that because you knew better, and da 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 da. So if a person goes through that with another person for an extended period, the way that you start to kind of morph yourself to deal with it is just like, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, nope, I was wrong. Yep. You were 100% right. I know I am terrible. I am so selfish. You kind of like numb out. And with their conscious thoughts, it's more or less a desire that I'm getting. And I'll say conscious thoughts and with their fleeting thoughts, there's a desire for them to want to come to some sort of clarity, or to have some sort of conversation, or for, you guys to come to a level playing field. But it's feeling like that's not even a possibility. Like, I know that Cancer could hear me out. I know Cancer could be rational with me. I know Cancer loves me. I know Cancer cares about me. There is stuff that I want to discuss. There are things that I want to say, but I know that that's kind of useless. So it's them kind of being in a double bind a bit, because it's almost them discounting themselves, because it's like, I can't have a conversation with them because if I try to say this, they could flash out. Or it could be, them trying to navigate, how can I say this, kind of tiptoeing, walking on eggshells a bit. Like, I want to bring this up, but I feel like if I don't say it the right way, then this could end up becoming like a whole thing. So I feel a lot of the reason why, and I'm gonna go out and say it, I mean, I said it a few minutes ago, but the fact that I really don't think you guys are communicating at present. And I really do believe with Cancer, there's a desire for them to communicate with you. But to give you context to this, I feel the reason why they're not is because they don't know what to say or how to say it. And there's a lot of fears tied to them saying anything. So it's kind of literally with the hanged man being in a limbo. Like, I accept that I messed up or I hurt your feelings, but I don't really know how to reconcile this. I don't really know how to fix it, because the only way to fix it would be if we communicate, but we can't communicate because you never really listen, or you never let me communicate. You feel what I'm saying? It feels like I was saying, being in a lose-lose situation. Like, I could give you the clarity that you want, but if I say it, you're going to shut it down. And then what's the point of us even having a conversation anyway? You feel what I'm saying? Now, when we look at their subconscious impression / projection onto you, we have the high priestess in the reverse, and that's Pisces energy. So one thing I could say with your person of interest, your person of interest, I wouldn't say that they're a woo-woo. I wouldn't say that they're a totally spiritual person. If they were at some point in time, they vacated into their rational mind. So it's, even if they're getting intuitive hits about things, they're kind of not listening to them and discounting them. But something I will say for sure that leads into their projection onto you, there is some suspicion here. There is some distrust here. At the root of it, this person doesn't trust themselves, hence why their intuition is suppressed, right? But how this would look as a projection onto you is seeing you as sneaky, suspicious kind of behavior. Or if you did reach out to them and say, like, I'm gonna, like, we can talk. I know sometimes I do, I tell you, blah, 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 you know, but this time I promise I'll listen. It would be a reluctance to really trust that, because it's like, what's the motive? They've never tried to listen to me before. They're always, over talking me, whatever the case. It's kind of like a suspicion they have with your intentions, you know what I mean? Or feeling like there's more. And I don't even feel like this person would overtly accuse you of this, to be honest with you. It's like this is stuff they even keep under the chest with this, which, gosh, kind of makes them a mirror reflection of you, to be quite honest. And how I was saying, y'all are two sides of one coin. Y'all are literally mirroring each other, now that I think about it. Because and I hope and pray this is making sense, Cancer, but because getting this message out is not the easiest thing in the world. I won't even front with you. Um, Out of my brain and out of my mouth. It's like there's a disconnect between my freaking brain and my mouth in this reading, it feels like. But how can I say this? It's almost like what Cancer is feeling on the inside, you guys are externalizing this with your words and your actions, right? Whereas with your person of interest, they're feeling this unrest or imbalance within themselves, but they're not saying anything. And with Cancers being super vibey and empathic and stuff like that, it's the equivalent of how I said with you guys, you know, if your person's asking you, are you okay, when you're upset about something and you're like, oh, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine, right? With your person, they would be behaving totally normal, but you're picking up a vibe that something is off. And you're like, are you good? And they're like, yeah. Why would you think I'm not good? Like, I'm fine, right? But there's no overt thing. It's just something you're picking up empathically. But it almost feels to me with them like this person almost created like a dossier on you, which could be the reason why you're like kind of taken aback by the fact that they were like, you're right, I'm wrong. Okay, we can break up type of thing. Because I feel this person over time, and I don't think Cancer was even aware of this. And I'm trying not to go into Cancer stereotypes. I'm just thinking about so many Cancers I know. Cancer will create a dossier on a person and they will get you back. Like the intention is to get you back. You feel what I'm saying? Like you did this, and this. Now I'm doing this, and all of these reasons are why I'm doing this. With your person, they have been doing the same thing. Would be hilarious if both of you are Cancers, but they've been doing the same thing, but they never pulled the trigger on it. Cancer did unknowingly or unintentionally, and the person was like, cool, because I have the dossier, which is why they're in this kind of confusing state with themselves. Because it's almost like for everything negative that they could say, there's still more positive than negative. But overall, the thing I'm seeing with the issue here, like talking about the two of you resolving this, the big issue I'm seeing is the solution to what's happening here requires communication. It would require both of you to come to the table and lay all of this out, of them saying everything it is that their concerns are, you saying what your concerns are, but your person of interest feels as if this is not a possibility. It's like we're at a crossroads and we're stuck. Like we cannot pass go and collect $200. You feel what I'm saying? Because there is no communicating with Cancer would be the perception, or no effective communicating with Cancer in so many words. But the thing I can say with your person of interest that is, I mean, unfair to Cancer is it's a very one-sided perspective, because it's them seeing everything that you're doing, but it's their inability to see how they're enacting in the same behavior themselves. So in this person's perspective, they're not seeing that. And the only way that they would be able to get insights into this would be intuitively, but they're not even connected to that, right? So they're stuck in this place of trying to solve a problem with the same mind that created it, with no alternative opinions. And why they're feeling so boxed in is because there's no solution. There's no spirit to talk to. There's no spirit talking to me, right? I can't talk to Cancer because Cancer isn't really going to try to hear me. We're just going to have the same argument over and over again in so many words, right? Now, their feelings towards you, interesting. We got two of the same core cards. We have the King of Pentacles. That's interesting. The first card and the last card. The first card is the Queen of Pentacles. The last card is the King of Pentacles. So with their feelings towards you, I can tell you, Cancer, for sure, this person really does love and care about you. I would even go as far as to say, Cancer, that, and this is like a little, extra tea. I feel your person could potentially feel, okay, let me say it this way. I think you and your person of interest have two very different love languages. And I don't necessarily think that Cancer is privy to what your person's love language is, right? I don't necessarily know what you would be expecting them to do, but I feel the way your person expresses their love language, it would have to be either verbal affirmation, maybe, acts of service, gift giving, especially with this being the King of Pentacles, would probably be the most prominent. So gift giving and acts of service. Verbal affirmations, I would include it, but I would say gift giving is number one, acts of service would be two, and verbal affirmations would be three on my tier system. But how it is that they express love to you is in very practical ways. It's not really, it's not really so much in, I would have to X out verbal affirmations because I feel like it wouldn't even be that. It would literally be in what they're doing for you, right? So I would have to say, top tier gift giving and acts of service, because I don't necessarily feel that they're a very vocal person to really, be spilling out the guts and stuff like that. But I think in a sense, and this is just what I'm picking up intuitively here and taking into account our first and last card, Queen of Pentacles and King of Pentacles, how it is that they're expressing love, I don't necessarily think you're seeing it. Not saying that you don't think the person loves you, but it's like what you're expecting from them that shows to you that they love you, you're not seeing that in so many words. But it's like they are. It's like a very practical way of them showing or expressing love to you, and Cancer not necessarily seeing it. But whatever the case, this still goes back to what I was saying with the Queen of Pentacles and the Empress, of them feeling like there's a sense of stability and security with you. There's a level of consistency with you. But I just feel very much on the emotional front is where things kind of get into flux. And to be honest, Cancer, I really feel like where that's coming from on your end is like a defensiveness in a sense, and not necessarily against this person, but it's like trying to protect yourself from being hurt. And this is like the defense strategy that you've used potentially your entire life to protect yourself from being hurt. But there's there's no self-awareness to where you can see this. Like there's a lack of self-awareness to where you're not able to see this about yourself. And I hate to talk about therapy because some people don't be like when I be bringing up therapy all the time, but that's the purpose. I mean, it is the tarot therapy channel, but anyway, but that's one of the purposes of therapy is the fact that you can get an unbiased third party objective opinion into your situation, because when you're subjective in it, you can't see it. So this could be a behavioral pattern that you engage in romantic relationships that you don't engage in friendships. So even if you got friends that you've had for years, you never display this with your friends because you don't feel threatened in your friendships. So this defense mechanism never shows up. So if you're explaining like, oh, my partner is saying this, and your homegirls are like, girl, you don't be doing that. It's like, yeah, because you don't do it in friendships. But if we were to bring all of your exes into a room and interview them, they'd be like, yeah, they'd be doing that. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like a blind spot in reference to this. But what I can say in the bigger picture, spiritually, Cancer has an opportunity. And child, this is making me think about y'all damn soul session for this month. I changed the title of it buku times. But Cancer Soul Session this month was talking about like the breaking of like generational curses. It was speaking about this pattern that Cancer has been in for most of their life, and how this has been literally the root of your downfall. And now that I think about it, that video performed very low this month. And I'm talking about the fact that I keep talking about Cancer and what's going on with you guys. Maybe this is your second chance, Cancer. If you skipped the soul session in August, maybe the reason why this message is coming out again in the connection session is because you really need to get this message. You feel what I'm saying? Your person of interest is doing the stuff that they're doing, but the thing that's most important here is, you know, even if this person gave in and called and y'all had a conversation, if you're still approaching it the same way, we go right back to the drawing board. You feel what I'm saying? And that's not in any way of me taking up for your person of interest. You feel what I'm saying? Because regardless of how they feel, I think not communicating with people is like the worst possible thing, like to ice somebody out. But maybe that's the reason why this message is coming out so freaking strong on the Cancer side. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lack of insight into a pattern that you're engaging in and how that's contributing to the problems in the relationship. Because again, like I said, with justice being here between the two of you, it's not just one person fucking up, it's both of you. It's like both of you are contributing something to the relationship that's causing it to be off balance. You feel what I'm saying? And why it's not progressing and moving forward. But leaving all of that alone, what I can say is your person really does love and care about you. They really do want to work this out. It's just the question of how. And like I said before, if there isn't any communication, or if this person is trying to communicate with you and, you know, Cancer has a defense mechanism that's preventing that from happening, it's more or less the question you have to ask yourself, Cancer, is in reference to your person of interest, do you want to be effective or do you want to be right? Because if you want to be right, then I can tell you that you guys could potentially, you know, just break up, never speak to each other again, and that'll be. You feel what I'm saying? But the same problem will pop up in another relationship. So it's the question of, do you want to be right? Of like, I was right, you were wrong, you shouldn't have done this, this shouldn't be this way, and you should be this way. Like, do you want to approach it that way, or do you want to be effective? And being effective is compromising. It's you feeling how it is that you feel, but giving the other person an opportunity to express themselves and to see things from their perspective. Because going back to what I was saying about black and white ethics, is whenever a person has black and white ethics in life, it's only about being right. It's, I was right, you were wrong. You should not have done that to me. You should have known better. How could you do this? And when you're beating a person down like that in an argument, the thing I always ask people is like, what do you want from that? Like, what is your end goal? Like, do you want the person to fall to their knees and say, "Oh, you're so right. I was wrong. I'm a terrible person." Like, what is it that the ultimate end goal that you want? Like, play out the scenario all the way to the end of what it is that you really want. But the thing I'm saying is, whatever that is, I don't think you really want that, because, like I said, there's something you want, but I don't even really think you guys are really clear on what it is. Because I feel like the person gave you the response that your action warranted, and that's not at all what you want. So you have to get clear on what is it that you actually want. How would you want this person to make amends or give penance for what it is that they did wrong? And they should have just never did it in the first place. It's not an option. You feel what I'm saying? I hope and pray that that makes sense, Cancer. I feel like I've been all over the place, and damn, this reading long. I feel like I've been all over the place in this reading, but it's a lot of the shit that I'm seeing. It's very like thought processes and shit like that. And it's like, it's hard to try to get that into tangible kind of explanation, if that's making sense. But go ahead and ask your yes or no question. I hope and pray to God this made sense. If it didn't, I know people gonna come for my ass in the comments, child. Go ahead and ask a yes or no question. I'm throwing the dice of resonance. Okay, so we have Pisces, we have female, we have cusp, we have coworker, and we have Gemini. So female, cusp, so they can be Pisces or Gemini, cuspers, and whatever the other cuspies are for that. I think it's like Aquarius, and I forgot what the other one is. And with Gemini would be Taurus and Cancer, is it? Taurus, Cancer, cuspers with Gemini, something like that. And co-worker. And the answer to your question is ask again. So ask your question again, scream it at the phone. Say it with your chest. Oh, damn. The answer to your question is ask Jesus. Ask Jesus, child. That's what it says. But anywho, Cancer, that has been your connection session for August. Most certainly let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, I love your freaking face, and I will see you